Jana Balava Girivardhana Yasodanandana Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Yamuna Tiravana Bhagavad-Gita ki jai. It's a very nice cartoon. We needed new strings though. This is not for playing on this string, just to hold them together in the show. Shoelaces. So Bhagavad-Gita chapter 2, text 44 is a very famous verse. Probably everybody knows it. Right? Bhogaishvarya
244.
Bhogaishvarya Prasaktanam Tvaya Prahita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadhi Na Vidiyate Bhogaishvarya Prasaktanam Tvaya Prahita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadona Vidiyate. Okay, others?
Vyavasayatmika buddhi.
Vyavasayatmika buddhi.
I'm sorry. Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam.
Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam.
Daya parata chetasam.
Daya prahita chetasam.
Vyavasayatmika buddhi.
Vyavasayatmika buddhi.
Samadhona vidhiyate.
Samadona vidiyate.
Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam.
Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam.
Daya parita chetasam.
Daya prahita chetasam.
Vyavasayatmika buddhi.
Vyavasayatmaka buddhi.
Samadhona vidhiyate.
Samadona vidiyate. And what else, ladies?
भोगैश्वर्य प्रसक्तानां
Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam
दया पार्थ चेतसां
Kaya prahita chetasam
व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः
Vyavasayatmaka buddhi
समादो न विधीयते
Samado na vidiyate. Okay, Bhoga, material enjoyment. And the devotees in Nigeria, they were trying to raise funds for Janmashtami. So they listed the expenses, you know, how money they needed, and they put Bhoga. And that was about 60% of the total, you know. I said, nobody's gonna, you know, only devotees know that Bhoga means food, you know.
Offering.
Yeah. We call it Bhoga because it's for Krishna's pleasure, but the real meaning is for material enjoyment. So you have to put, you know, foodstuffs for free distribution. Then people like to donate for Bhoga. And look, what is this Bhoga? You know, these people are crazy. Bhoga Aishvarya. Aishvarya means opulence. Prasaktanam, for those who are attached, taya, by such things. Aparita chetasam, bewildered in mind. Vyavasayatmika, fixed in determination. Buddhi, devotional service to the Lord. Samado, in the controlled mind. Va, never. Vidiyate, does take place. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. And it's a very short purport. Samado means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukti, says Samyag Adiyate, Smin Atma Tattva Yatatmyam. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in samadhi. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in the material sense enjoyment and bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chaksura Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desa Dharani Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Trishe Namaha Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. When Prabhupada first heard the report of the first marathon and the devotees were staying out late at night and distributing books, and he said that is samadhi. Fixed mind on service. So that if we're too much attached to sense gratification, like we meet people, many people, Krishna says, Manusyanam sahasreshu kasya jarati siddhaye. Out of many thousands of men, only one will have some kind of interest, even in anything spiritual. So if you go and just try to approach people, you'll see that proof of the accuracy of the Bhagavad Gita. Because most people, they're too busy. They're running somewhere. Running from something or running to something. I'm good. I don't need anything. They can't understand. Because they're thinking I want sense gratification, or I have it, so I don't need anything else. And Queen Kunti said, what is it? Janmai Svarya Shuti Shribir. Edamana Madakpuman, that when someone is mad after high birth or proud, they have some so-called high birth, Brahmana or American. Everybody thinks their birth is high. When in Haridas Thakur's time, the Hindus thought the Muslim was a very low birth. But when the Qazi arrested Haridas, they said, you have such a high birth as a Muslim, why do you want to be a low-class Hindu? So everybody has their different ideas. But birth, we should be embarrassed. And the scripture said that we have birth. It's not natural for the spirit soul to have a temporary material body that's rotting away. So, Janma Svarya, for high birth, Aishvarya, wealth, opulence, Shuti, big education, PhD, there's so many things after your name. Big education, Janma Svarya, Shuti, Shribi, beauty. Someone's very beautiful, usually they become very proud also. And very much attached to their body, and then always fearful that their beauty is going to fade away. The richest practicing doctors in America are what do they call them now? Not plastic
surgeons.
aesthetic surgeons, right? Something. I don't know if they say plastic anymore. But anyway, that's a big business, especially in Los Angeles and then Miami. Miami, a lot of rich people retire there. In Los Angeles, the movie stars who are, the doctor, he said you can't believe how much they spend trying to keep their so-called beauty. So one goes crazy, one goes mad, and if he's after those things and trying to get those things, and then they can't chant the holy name, they can't chant the name of God with any kind of feeling. And that's what it's saying here also. One is too much attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and you can't fix his mind on any kind of devotional service. It's starting with chanting the holy name. So we're very fortunate. Lord Chaitanya has given us the Maha Mantra and the Kirtan. So it's so powerful that if anybody will just take it up, they can, purify the mind and start. It's not that we can't have desires. It's impossible to have no desires. That's one reason many people get turned off about the idea of spiritual life or meditation, because, they hear the Mayavadi talk and no desire, become zero, don't think. It's not possible. The soul, the only function of the soul is desiring. And then Krishna fulfills the desires. So we have to convert the desires, right? And our attachments. Prabhupada said we have attachments, so we don't have to learn how to be attached. We don't have to learn how to desire. We have to learn what to desire and what to be attached to. And that comes from hearing about Krishna, hearing the holy name, and then reading the books. We want to distribute the books. Of course, reading the books is should be always a marathon, but we try to push, started out in America. It was Christmas and people were in a really good mood and shopping malls were open late at night and devotees just got carried away. Everybody happy to give donations, you know. And it's time they would spend a lot of money. So many retail stores, their only month they make profit is December, Christmas shopping time. And that carries them through the year. But then they tried to make it like for the rest of the world, and many countries say, well, it's Christmas, nobody cares about Christmas here, you know, in India or in Asia. Or, you know. Even here now, there's hardly any decorations here. You know, in Japan it's Xmas, they say Christ. But just by making that effort, then everywhere in the world they did huge amounts of book distribution. And everybody just focused their mind, okay, this month it's the main thing we do, and everybody tries to go out. Like in London, the head pujari goes out. You get someone else to take care of the deities, and he goes out every day. There was one lady there, she took her 1 month holiday from her job in December and went out every day on book distribution and did a lot of books. And all over the world, devotees do like that. They try to, you know, make a special effort or just sponsor books. We can have a little program here who wants to sponsor, but we have also the Bhagavatam sets in different languages also. We have it in New York, we have Bengali Bhagavatams and Chaitanya Charitamritas and Hindi. And Prabhupada, you know, he had, in order for us to get detached, you know, we had to be attached to something. So he gave a lot of work to build a temple, you know, do puja, and distribute books, print books, you know, to keep busy, keep the mind busy. But he stressed book distribution very, very much. Reading the books, of course. He didn't make that an initiation vow, but whenever he met devotees, and you can see a lot of devotees that Prabhupada only talked to them for a couple minutes, but he would say, are you reading my books? Basically 1 hour a day. Then you naturally want to distribute them and you can realize how good they are. They're not so difficult that people can't, you know, like this somebody gave in the school, and I just heard somebody from Bali also, they did that. And she was a principal or something, but she gave books to all the teachers and they all really loved it. They all became really happy and they became very favorable. So this is one letter Prabhupada wrote in 1972. My first concern is that my book shall be published and distributed profusely all over the world. Practically, books are the basis of our movement. Without our books, our preaching will have no effect. He said, you know, what good will your 3 minutes talking do? Better, you know, if you don't give them a book. So we try to give one way or another. And we won't, of course, if somebody can just chant all the time or they can listen to lectures, but the books, that's also books. So Prabhupada, that saying is their books are the basis. The BBT has this program this year for the Live to Give. They want to do 2.5 million Bhagavad-Gitas in December and half of January or something. So Kavichandra Maharaj put this up. We're trying to distribute in the months of November and December 2.5 million Bhagavad-Gitas. Think how you can distribute Bhagavad-Gita. Your neighbors, your friends, your student colleagues, work colleagues, or to anybody who's to shops where you buy your provisions, have everyone buy a Bhagavad-Gita. And there's all kinds of programs going on the internet and everything trying to, promote that. These books are not ordinary. They cause a transformation in the heart and make people become spiritually successful. So, the mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So if the mind is attached too much to sense gratification, it's something like that famous line of Jesus that's misquoted. I don't know if you ever heard it, but if you're Indian. But money is the root of all evil. But actually that's not what the Bible says. It says love for money. Money is, nothing is, like a knife. If you're cutting vegetables, it's very nice. If a surgeon's using a knife to remove something, then it's very nice. If a criminal is using the knife to cut your throat, then it's not nice. Butcher. So the money is depends how you use it. If you want to use it for Krishna, then it's very good. Prabhupada. There was one so-called incarnation or somebody that they would say that he wouldn't touch money. If he touched money, his hand would shrivel away. And Prabhupada said, but his secretary is taking him. And Prabhupada said, if somebody offered, I would take it, and use it for Krishna. I think Tamal Krishna Maharaj told that person, my Guru Maharaj would take it, and use it for Krishna. The money's not bad. Of course, if you're too much afraid that you'll fall down if you have some money, then maybe it will do that. That's why we have, buy some books, build a temple, make a festival, sponsor a feast, use the money for Krishna. Make your house a temple. So we had to conquer the mind. Bhaktisiddhanta said, we must destroy the mind. It must be eliminated. The mind is the king of the senses. The senses supply the mind with knowledge of the external world. Though such knowledge supplied by the senses, the mind sometimes engages in gross enjoyment and sometimes in subtle enjoyment. The human soul has made his mind an agent to deal with the world of enjoyment. When his mind becomes engrossed in its own principles, then various anarthas arise. If one wants to attain real pleasure by removing displeasure, the mind has to be destroyed. There is danger when the mind acts independently. Chastising the mind is the first statement found in all the Shastras. However, there is no way of chastising the mind except by serving the lotus feet of Rishikesh. So one very good way to control the mind is to, of course, read Bhagavad-Gita, read any of these books, Prabhupada's books, associated with Srila Prabhupada. He was very determined. When he came to America, he had nothing except his books. He had 200 first cantos. And that's what he did. He wrote letters to people trying to get them interested. He visited bookshops and different people and tried to sell those books. And somehow he survived. And when devotees started coming and they would ask him, for some service, he would pull out a big pile of manuscript and say, can you type this? And he had up to the third canto or something. And he had his Bhagavad-Gita. So he kept him busy typing. And our Bhakti Marg Swami, the famous walking Swami, he wrote a nice poem, books are the basis, purity is the force, utilities. Books are the basis. They come in many cases, like cases of Bhagavad-Gita. So how many would you like? Anybody want? Case of the small ones, and how much is that? That's 24 books or something. And then the hardcover is the contents evoke happy faces, leaving many holy traces. Purity is the force, taking us to the great source. It is something to endorse. Can't learn it from any course. Lose it and you will remorse. Preaching is the essence. Reaching young, old adolescence, a service of super excellence. Gaining Krishna's acceptance. In giving, we feel his presence. Utility is the principle. The state of being useful, sensible, practical, and comprehensible. Balancing maximum, minimal, the key to reaching a pinnacle. Everybody liked that one very much. So Prabhupada used that term a few times. Books are the basis. And for our own personal life, that's why we have classes every day. Originally Prabhupada, he had one class, but temple schedule was morning and evening, morning Bhagavatam, evening Bhagavad-Gita, called it a sandwich. In between we do whatever service we have. In the very early days, most of the devotees just went out distributing books because there wasn't much else to do. The temples were very small. But things grow, and now we have unlimited things to do. We have many householders. But anybody can distribute books. Giving them as gifts is like this Silicon Valley, they did so many books, on this Black Friday. Because they get a lot of sponsors. They have a lot of rich people there. They sponsor, so they just make packages like you have there, and they go and last year they went to all the police stations and gave all the policemen books and all the fire stations and made people very happy, These Hare Krishnas are nice. So whatever we can do, we should all be thinking. We had a nice presentation there. Gopal Champu Prabhu is supposed to be here by now, but nothing ever happens when you're driving in New York. But he's distributing so many books, and he's so determined. He called up one lady and she said, okay, I can sponsor $200. And then she sent $500. Another one, I think she also said $200. And then she called the next day and said, I went to the bank, I have more money, I'll send $700 more. So he's sat out front of the temple, put a table, and given his 3 books, tied up. Some people donate a little bit. But people, it's whatever. As long as they have some desire, they want the book. So this is what we want to really make. At this month, all over the world, devotees are making a special effort. So there's a very good energy in the whole world of, this focus, mind, giving up, sense gratification. People that don't normally try to distribute books are giving up something, some time. The devotees who normally distribute books are trying to go out more, or do more hours, and focus their mind more. It's also a time to focus on the sadhana more, because that's the first requirement. Vaisheshika gave the 4 rules. One is, the first thing is good sadhana, and then get books, and then show the books. The more you show, the more they go, and then organize. So there's some organization, all these packages. Anybody can make up any kind of package they like, but it's working very nicely, this package tied up in a ribbon, some people like that, instead of just one book. And devotees in just whatever he can do. So, and then become attached to Krishna. Because if we get attached to Krishna, that's how we get detached from sense gratification. Krishna is Rishikesh. He's the master of the senses. So when we satisfy the senses of Krishna, like we offer prasad bhoga to Krishna, it becomes prasadam, it's better. We don't miss out on anything, right? Prabhupada said that. He said, it's much better to offer to Krishna because then you get it back. If you give it to me, I eat everything. One devotee asked, he said, Krishna doesn't really eat when we offer. The deity doesn't really eat. The Prabhupada said, no, I see him eat. He said, I'm not a fool like you. Then he was laughing and he said, Krishna can eat in different ways. He said he can eat just by seeing it. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. All his senses can do the work of all the other senses. He can eat just by hearing your prayers. He said he can eat it all and put it back. It's still there. Or he can eat it all and have an empty plate. There's a few stories like that. So that happened to Sachimata. And she would wonder, maybe I forgot to offer. Or maybe a monkey came in or something. So Lord Chaitanya had to tell her that he was coming every day, even though he was in Jagannath Puri. So whatever we do, we just get busy being attached to Krishna, some kind of service, chanting the holy name, teaching other people about Krishna. But books are always there. We have to read the book, and we have to know what's in the book in case we're giving it to people. They might ask us about it. Because many people, they say, well, I tried to read the Gita, but I couldn't understand it. But it's not that difficult. And one lady was telling me, well, it's complicated. I said, no, you're complicated. Bhagavad-Gita is very simple. And then she said, yeah, that sounds good. Because our mind is so complicated. We're so conditioned, and things have to be this way and that way. And, school is just take a test and answer this question. And Bhagavad Gita is not like that. It's Krishna speaking. Association with Krishna. And the knowledge will be revealed, by Krishna. So if we have a desire that people will get the book, then somebody will get the book. If we can't do it ourselves, devotees, and sometimes they just go and they go to like a haircut, beauty shop, and they just put them on the table because people read books while they're sitting under the dryers and stuff. Or go to the doctor's office, leave some books, on the table, and people will read them. People pick them up and read them. Or just donate them to some library or some, school or whatever. But one way or another, devotees, they become very creative just thinking how to distribute the books. And then we can conquer over this, this attachment to, because basic education that we get in the schools and in the advertising is that the goal of life is to gratify the senses until the end of life. Right? That's what Krishna says, the demons. So we've been, why, you study so you can get in a good higher school, and then you can get a better job, and then you can get more money, and then what? Dharma, artha, kama. Right? Even you do religious activity so you can get money, get economic gain, do some yajna, and then you can get sense gratification. Dharma, artha, kama. But then moksha, when you get frustrated, can't really enjoy that much. Somebody may think, okay, I just want to get out. That the fifth is connecting with Krishna, the real perfection. We can connect with Krishna by distributing the books. It's a very intimate service. Because one who teaches this Bhagavad Gita is most dear to me, Krishna says, and there'll never be anyone more dear. Right? That's in chapter 18, right? So please, everybody, see what you can do now. Does anybody want to volunteer to buy one box of Bhagavad Gita? We got two. Who's going to note down all these things? Big ones or small ones?
Big ones.
Hardcover. Somebody got a notebook? Our Sankirtan leader? That's pretty good. Because I'm trying to go out, in the train station. I used to be pretty good at it, but I can't move fast enough anymore. I have to let the young boys in. But, all right, now, so just note down what you're pledging. One box hardcover Gitas, one box of soft, whatever it is. Anyone else for some of these other books?
Here, Maharaj.
Huh? Yes.
Two sets.
Huh?
Maharaj, two sets.
Sets.
Two boxes.
Two boxes. Two sets.
2 boxes of Gita? Wow. I mean, full box. Paperback or hardcover?
Also have a big one.
Anything that
It's up to you anyway, that's amazing. Now, I see you had the sets of Shamasundar's 2 books. Gopal Champa is bringing, I don't know when he's going to get here, but he's bringing the volume 3. It just came the other day at the temple, a couple of days ago. I got it about 2 weeks ago. I ordered it when I first heard about it. It's the most exciting one. It's really amazing. Prabhupada. And say, like, if we could have the same energy to distribute the books that Prabhupada had to translate for writing them. Because I was thinking, they always say Prabhupada was not translating. Actually, he had Sanskrit people translate the verses and the word. He was writing commentary. He was writing purports. He wasn't translating. He wasn't just translating somebody else's commentary. He was reading many commentaries and then putting it all together. It's a really incredible thing. And he did it every night for many hours. And then he did all his other work during the day, and he was always encouraging the book distribution. So many letters. When I joined it, just got started like the next year or something, 73, when it really got rolling. When the first big Krishna book, and somebody started, they weren't trying to distribute them. They thought, if somebody comes to the temple, but then some devotee, they ran out of Back to Godhead, and they just took the Krishna books out of the warehouse and sold them. And then they got excited, and that news went all over the country, and gradually everybody started finding out people would buy this big. That was a huge book, the first Krishna book. Heavy 8 by 12, 10 by 12 size, big size, but it had 64 pictures and had George Harrison's signature in there. So at that time, that was very powerful. And then more and more books came, and Bhagavad Gita came, and first, available whole Bhagavad Gita, and then things really took off. That came first, actually. So anyone else is enthusiastic for What are those little sets? Can you hold up some? What do you have? Yeah, the one that's a paperback Gita and Science of Self-Realization. Are there two different ones?
Yeah, this is one small book, one big book, and these sets are just $10.
Huh?
These are just $10 soft book and two small books. There is Science of Self-Realization also.
Science of Self-Realization and Gita, right? That's $10?
Yeah.
And you tie it up and everything?
Yeah.
For free? The ribbon is free? Okay, who wants to buy some of those? Okay, well, we have pretty big orders on that. All right, any comments or questions?
We have Ramayana book also. That's Subhabilas Prabhu.
Ramayana?
Ramayana. Subhabilas Prabhu's Ramayana, very popular.
Yeah?
The whole set is there.
How many volumes?
5. 5 of them.
Who wrote that?
Subhabilas.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are like, not exactly Ramayana, but commentaries, how it applies in life. It's quite good. Yeah, he's really popular. All right, so please, everybody work up. Gopal Champu is one of the world's champions now. He's supposed to be here. He had some other class because he's getting married. He had a pre-marriage class. So any question or comment?
Maharaj, Ranji Krishna Prabhu was ordering a Bhagavatam set as well.
Oh, really? Well, I won't take credit for that. I don't know how he must be reading them a lot, huh? To get so fired up.
Distributes it to his friends and colleagues.
There's a new Bhagavatam set. Just came also, printed from Europe. It's quite nice. The books are a little bit smaller and lighter than the other ones. A little easier to handle. I don't know if Gopal's going to bring one of those. But we have them, and they're available anyway. It's 2 different Bhagavatam sets now. Okay, you have something?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Nice to see you so soon again after Friday. So I went out for the first time ever yesterday actually to distribute books. How do you keep the enthusiasm and confidence when just so many people, like you were saying, it seems like asking 1,000 people, maybe one is interested. How do you just not feel so rejected and defeated?
I don't know. When I'm strong enough, that Prabhupada likes your effort, Krishna's pleased with our effort. We hear so many times the results up to Krishna, you just try, So we're very conditioned to counting numbers, results. But the real thing is if you just keep trying. And Prabhupada himself, India, he struggled not much, not much support. But he did get a few people helped him to print the Bhagavatam and then give his passage. And giving that boat ride, it didn't cost her anything. The boat was going anyway. But still, it was nice. It wasn't a passenger boat, but he had a nice room. It was her room. And when Prabhupada was in America the first year, he got, had to move around a few times. He had his things stolen. Nobody was really very interested. But he was always, all through the whole thing, he was thinking, this is my spiritual master's work, and he was just happy. That's all we can do. We chant the holy name and just keep praying to Krishna. Krishna says in different places. Today we went on the Brooklyn Bridge chanting. You know, people are running. It's crazy. You know that. What are they walking across Brooklyn? They're not going anywhere. They're just walking on the Brooklyn Bridge. You know, most of them, but they're always in a hurry. But Krishna says that he chooses. You know, he lets certain people get the mercy. But that's based also on the desire of devotees. You know. So we have to be compassionate. When we're compassionate and we really want to give people Krishna and we really want to help people, Krishna will send more. But sometimes even then he'll just, you know, he wants to test us or he wants to show us we're not so great, you know. So everybody just, I'm good. No money. And then the people that stop pretend to be a little interested. I don't have money. They mean to say, I don't have money for this. You know. There's very few people, I think, out there with absolutely no money, you know. Right? Once in a while, because they already spend it. You know. Many people, when they go out, they take a certain amount with them, and they have it planned out, you know, so they can't change. But then nice people just, okay, sure, you know. So you just keep trying and pray to Krishna to help them, not to help you. So we want to help all of you. The more you distribute books, the more you can get to mercy, the more you can get close to Prabhupada, the more you can understand what's going on, the more you can do anything. It doesn't have to be big numbers, because many people distributing a little bit becomes big, right? If everybody here distributes one book a month or one book a week, you know, it becomes a lot of books, right? Doesn't cost you very much. And it's a good use of money to distribute books. Or sponsored festivals. Anyone else getting inspired?
I wanted to, Hare Krishna Maharaj. I wanted to share a story that I met this devotee down in Gainesville, Florida, who was from Boston. She got a Bhagavad-Gita from a free little library in Boston, and then from there she met the devotees in Brooklyn. She moved to the ashram there, to then the ashram in Gainesville. So if we can't think of ways to distribute the books, there's these little boxes called free little libraries.
Right.
If you put the books in
Another
there,
way.
people get turned on to them.
I said library, but yeah, they're around a lot, right? And people just put books there, take books. It's not exactly a library. You can keep it, right?
Yeah, you take it.
Yeah. There's nobody supervising. Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, a lot of devotees do that. They just go around stocking those things. Every hospital has books, a little library. And many times you'll find Prabhupada's books. But, you can just go and leave the books. Or give them to the patients or the nurses. They're very happy. People in the hospital, they're not... Many people in the hospital, nobody visits them or anything. So if you just come and you just ask if you can go around and you say, here, we have this book for you. You're not that body, cheer them up a little bit. There's many different ways without having to, combat someone and give them donations and everything. That's a whole nother world. But, some people are very happy. They're just happy to donate for the books. But one way or another, we just want to flood the world, cover the world. Because if you read a lot, you'll see that Prabhupada and listen to lectures, he stressed so much, there's no hope for the world. All these things that are going on, that everybody, we think, oh, this is like, oh my God, there's another variation. Just in disease is disease. It's always been there. It's not a new thing. Right now, people are much more aware of it. I don't know if that's good or bad, but if some people become very fearful, oh, there's going to be a war, there's going to be a pestilence, there's going to be a drought, there's going to be climate change, and right, and New York City will be flooded, by the ocean rising or something, and all these things. Other people think, oh, we got to surrender we got to depend on God because this is a temporary, endlessly mutable place, right? Everything's always so-called changing, but it's the same old thing, just the mode of passion, mode of ignorance, mode of goodness, all changing all the time. And the only escape is to take shelter of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay? Believe it? So we want to ask everybody to chant Hare Krishna. Whoever you meet, wherever you go, tell them about Krishna. Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna. Koro Krishna Shiksha. That means you give the Bhagavad-Gita, you offer them something, Please, read this book. This is good for you, This will help you. One of my god sisters, she finally moved to Mayapur, but she was distributing books in spite of knee replacements and all kinds of things. And she would just say, this is my favorite book. And she's like a little grandma, like very short. Nobody could argue, I don't believe that's your favorite book. And they would look at her and they'd buy the book. She sold so many books. Didn't have to. So thank you very much. And for those who are going to take all these books, this is fantastic. I hope others will get. How about you? Mayapur? Huh? Which one are you? Manish. Yeah. I get you two mixed up. This one is obviously different. Yeah, how many books are you taking? You give all your patients? Bhagavad-Gita, the real medicine. Okay, thank you very much. What's next?